everyone, and welcome to another Mini and Me session offered by Garden City Arts. My name is Miss Katie, and I'm going to walk you through this out of this world painting step by step until we are finished. Now, keep a few things in mind. This is your painting. You can make your alien look any way you want, okay? Have fun with it. Now, before you get painting, you need to make sure you have all of your supplies on hand. Make sure you have a black canvas already painted and ready to go. Make sure you have these colors that you see laid out in front of you. This is part of a kit provided by Garden City Arts. If you have that kit, lay them out, numbers 1 through 6. If not, check out the video description. You can figure out what paint colors we use to mix. Make sure you have a cup of water, a piece of chalk on hand, of course, all of your brushes, and I would suggest having a wash brush, a shader brush, and a round brush on hand. If you have all of those things, then you are ready to get started. Okay, for step number 1, we are going to be using some chalk. Now, the reason we're using chalk is because when we use it on our canvas, and if we make a mistake, we can take a clean damp brush and we can wash it away and it disappears. It also disappears when we paint over it. Okay, so this is a really good tool to have on hand, especially when you enjoy painting. Now, we're going to draw out our alien before we start painting. And there's a lot of parts of our alien and his spaceship. So first, we're going to make a very big upside down U. This big upside down U should fill the canvas. It's okay if it's not perfect. You can always work on it. And look, I made a mistake. All I do is take a clean damp brush and I can wipe it away, okay? Now, I have my big upside down U. That is for the capsule in the spaceship. That's where the alien is gonna hang out. Now, because he's in outer space, he has to have this glass barrier to protect him, and that's what we just drew. Now, we're going to draw a curved line completing it. Now it looks like a gumdrop or a ghost on Pac-Man. Then we're going to draw a nice big curvy, it's gonna look kind of like the letter C if you put it on its side, okay? So I'm gonna show you how to do that. I'm gonna put a dot right here and a dot right there. I'm gonna start here and end on the other side. And I'm gonna do a nice big letter C. Now, that is for the base of our spaceship. Then we have to put a little tiny bowl underneath. That is kind of like the big part of our spaceship where the alien lives, okay, and keeps all of his stuff stored. So now that we have the basic outline of our spaceship, we can start adding the details of our alien. And don't worry if your chalk shows up, if you like erase something and it shows back up, that's just part of it. Just keep scrubbing and it'll disappear. Now, I'm keeping my alien really simple. He is just a nice little blob, okay? Head and some shoulders. That's it. If you want, you can do more details. It's up to you, okay? Now I'm gonna draw the back of the spaceship behind him, and this line is important because this is going to be what distinguishes our glass from the inside of our spaceship. Okay, so make sure you have that as well. If you have all of those things, then you are done. You nailed it. Good job. We can move on. Now that we have everything drawn, we're gonna paint one part. We're gonna paint the glass, and that is color number 1. It is actually bright aqua green and titanium white mixed together. We are going to use, you can use whatever brush you feel comfortable with. If you are a beginner painter, it might be a good idea to use a smaller brush, like a shader brush or a round brush, okay? I'm gonna use my 1/2 inch wash brush, and I'm going to show you how we're gonna outline first. So I am gonna go on top of my chalk lines, over my chalk lines, and I am going to outline what I want to be painted in with this light blue. Okay, now if you're using a square or a flat brush and trying to paint a curvy line, what you do is you twist the brush as you go with your thumb and your pointer finger. So I'm gonna show you how to do that with our alien. I am twisting it as I go, rotating the brush, And look at that, I can make a curvy line. Now, if you're a beginner painter or you're a little younger, I want you to use the round brush to do this instead, okay? It's gonna be a little bit easier. But if you're an advanced painter or a little older and want a challenge, use this brush. It's a really great challenge. Okay, I am going to now fill this in solid. I have my outlines, I can fill it in, and then I can move on. I'm gonna speed up the video. We're back with another step number 2. And we're going to move on to some colors. Now, before we do, I want to point something out. My alien is no longer round. He's kind of bumpy and flabby. So the reason for that is I made a mistake, and I could have erased my mistake by taking a clean, damp brush and going back and forth. And if the paint is still wet, you can actually erase it and take it off. But I decided that I kind of liked it. I kind of want to have my alien be a little different. So remember, you can erase your mistakes, paint over your mistakes if you absolutely need to. That's the last resort. Or you can embrace them and just say, now my alien is a little lumpy, okay? Now, we're going to move on to our next step. I'm going to use color number 2, which is a light green, and I'm going to paint in my alien's body. So inside my alien, and that is just this little bumpy lobby thing right here, I'm going to paint it in with my green paint. Now, once again, I'm going to outline first and then fill it in. I'm going to speed up the video a little bit and paint everything in with light green here. Then I will paint everything on the rim of my spaceship yellow, and I will paint everything below it, that storage part of our spaceship, in with blue, okay, bright aqua green. So I want you to take your time and paint each of those places in. The only part that gets left alone is this part right here, and that is kind of the dark part inside the alien's spaceship that we don't really see, okay? All right, go ahead and start painting now. Okay, we are back with step number 3. Now, we have all of our parts of our canvas painted with our first layer of paint. Now, do you see how there's some black showing through? That means we're gonna have to do a second layer. And that is okay, because as we do that, we can add some more details. So I'm gonna show you really fast how we're gonna do that. Then I'll speed up the video and let you go crazy. Okay, so I'm gonna start at the top. We're gonna start at the top and work our way down. And I'm gonna put in a second layer of the light blue paint. Now, as I do this, I'm covering up all of the black that's showing through. And then I can add some highlights, okay? Because this is the glass part of our spaceship, so it's a little reflective. It has some shine to it. So I'm gonna pop open color number 5, and I can use just a little bit of this color to create lines on the edges to make it look a little bit shinier, okay? All right, so once I have that done, I can keep painting until I have everything painted in. Now add some shine wherever you feel like it needs. I'm gonna finish with the blue, and then I'll move on to my green alien, my yellow, and then my dark blue bottom of my spaceship. I'm gonna do a second layer, speed up the video, and then we'll move on. Okay, now that we have all of our black covered up and our spaceship is looking very nice and shiny, we can move on to the details of our alien. So I would like you to grab your round brush. This is the best brush we can use for these next steps. We're going to use white to create an eyeball, and this eyeball I originally put in the center of my alien's head. So I created a nice curvy outline and then filled it in to create one ginormous eyeball. Now, you could add more eyeballs if you want. This is an alien after all. You can have as many eyes on your alien as you'd like. Now, the other thing we need to do is to mix a new color. We're going to mix a blue-green to add some details to our alien. So we are taking color number 2 and color number 4 and mixing it together to create a new color, a blue-green color. Now, this is the color that I'm going to use to create little spots on my alien. If you want them to be a little darker, you could mix a little bit of black into it, but you have to be careful about mixing black into color. It really takes it over. So I would suggest just having a slightly different version of green, a blue-green. Now, I'm going to add spots using my round brush to my alien. That way, he's not just a boring green little man. He is a spotted green little man. Or alien, I should say. Okay, so after I have all of my dots on, I will be done with this step and ready to move on. Add as many dots or as few of dots as you'd like. If you'd prefer, you could do some texture where you just do repeated dots over and over again, okay? You can do anything you would like. This is your alien after all. And if you don't like what you did, well, guess what? Super easy to fix. Paint covers paint. Just paint over it and start again. No worries. Okay. All right, let's move on to our next step. All right, we're ready for our very last step, which is the most fun step because we get to add in all of the details. So break open cup number 6, which is a Mars black, and you can start painting on your details. So we're going to start at the top and then work our way down. First, I'm going to add a black circle inside my white circle. I'm keeping mine pretty tiny, but if you wanted to make it really big, you could. Okay, so that is for the pupil of our alien. Then I'm going to mix a little bit of water into my black paint by dipping my paintbrush in paint water and then mixing it into a pile of paint that I have on my palette. And by doing that, I'm making my paint a little bit more fluid and easy to work with. Then I can draw a line on my alien. Now my alien is a bit lost in space, so he looks a little worried. So that's why he has a squiggly lined mouth. And I press light as a feather to create these lines. Now, if you want your alien to look a little happier, you could add these little round parts for his cheeks, like he's smiling and pushing up his cheeks. You can do anything you'd like with your alien. It is your alien after all. After that, I take the back end of my brush, dip it in my white paint, and then I put a little tiny dot inside my alien's eye. And that's for the shiny part inside his black eye, or his black pupil, I should say. So, there we go. We have our alien's face done. Now we're ready to move on. One thing that we want to do is to add a little bit more shine, and this shine to our glass on our alien spaceship needs to start inside the blue and then cross over into the black. By doing that, we're creating an effect that makes the glass look kind of shiny. Okay, it's the reflection. And you can even crisscross that onto the alien. Okay, very last thing we need to do, we're back to our black paint, and we are going to paint in some details on the bottom of our spaceship. I'm keeping my details really simple. You could make them, you could make buttons, you could do all sorts of stuff. I am just painting on, be careful not to have too much water in your paintbrush, like I just did. I am painting on lines. And these lines are curvy on the outside and kind of straighten out as they get to the inside. So I'm following the shape of my alien's space capsule. Okay, there we go. And I'm pretty happy with that. I think my alien's finished. The only thing that I need to do now is to add the stars, because after all, our alien is zooming through space. Now you can do that by taking the back end of your brush, and just like we did with the eye of our alien, we're going to tap or press lightly with the back end of our brush onto our canvas, and that creates little stars or big stars depending on how hard you press. You can also use the front end of your brush if that wasn't working so well for you, if you don't like the marks that you're making. You can also add big stars that start with a T and then have an X through them. Those are the really, really shiny stars. Okay, and I want you to fill up your background until you're happy with how many stars you have, and then you're finished. I hope you had fun painting today. I had fun painting along with you, and make sure you share this wonderful painting on our Facebook page with Garden City Arts. We love to see what you paint. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.